Hi all, everyone. Welcome to my new little video. Hope you're all well and happy, everyone. So before I'm carrying on with making this beautiful bespoke jacket of 2 for a client. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, because the jacket's virtually like 3/4 way finished now, I'm going to make the collar. Now, I do 2 methods, which I'll show you on another one. I drape my collars and I draft them. So I learned from a great Savile tailor this method I'm going to show you, and he always says always draft an individual collar for every single client, because I do have a template. I'll just quickly show you. Now, I got this template in cardboard from a bespoke tailor who's 91 years of age, and he gave me this is like a template, just a basic template shape. But my Savile tailor said don't use it, always draft them, because you know the way the gauge line is, the way it's the break line is always fractionally different on each jacket. So always draft each individual pattern, which I'm going to do now. So I'll just quickly show you how it's going to be. So I'm going to show you this method now. So this is for this client. So the first thing to do is establish a neck point here on the shoulder to the break line. Now it varies from about 1 inch and 1/8 to 1 1/4 inch. So I think on this one is 1 1/4 inch. Let me just double check this now. This is one, yeah, it's 1 1/4 inch, that's fine. This is set there, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is, because if this is wrong in that break line, you'd have to bring your neck point is the most important thing. So you'd have to mark it from your neck point. So if I just quickly mark it, you'll just see what I do here. There's my neck point there. I'm using my tracing, it'll be fine on the fabric. But sometimes they'll put the paper on top. I don't. Just easy for me. Okay. So there's your neck point. It's the most important thing here. And then from there, you'd come out. There it is there. I can quickly show the cross. From there, you'd actually measure out 1/8 or 1 1/4 inch, but I've already marked there and it's fine. So sometimes you'd have to probably slightly adjust the break line fractionally. So now I want to go for my break line. You can see here. And I'm just going to just fold that over, and I'm going to use my graphite. I've got this great, I'll quickly show you. These are called graphites and for pattern cutting. And all the old pattern cutters, they use these graphites. Really, really good. So I'm going to use my broken one here, but it's brilliant. And I spent many years trying to track them down. I tracked them down in England, and I've got a whole box. So I'm actually selling them. There's a few left. I'm going to keep myself about 10. I think I've still got about 10 that's spare. I sell them for about £15 because they are very rare. You can't find them. And I use this when I'm pattern cutting. So that's what I do, everyone. So let me just get this there. I'm going to fold this over there. I'm going to, now, next thing you do, you draw your break line in, okay? That's what you do there. And then you're going to establish your shoulder line here. So I'm just going to fold this over there to be fine. Should be okay there. All right. And sometimes you can trace through. I mean, this fabric's thick, so I can trace it through the fabric. It won't harm it. Let's quickly do that. It's fine. And then the last thing to do before I take off the jacket is your gauge line, your step, where the actual collar is going to sit exactly, which is there. So I'm just going to mark that there. It's very important. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. So you've got to establish your break line where your neck point is. Then you'd come out 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/8, and just come up there and just redo your break line there. But it's all intact anyway, it's fine. Then you mark your shoulder point and you mark where your step is. And the last thing to do is from here, I'm going to just carry on there where it's what they call a gauge line here, where it's stitched in. It goes up step. You just mark that there, okay? And that's fine. I'll just carry on with that break line going up. Hopefully you can see it in, I might put it in, have I got a thick, I need to get some Sharpies for my video so everyone online can see. So I'm going to just do it in red. And that's my break line. There's my step there, just mark that step there. And this is my gauge line, so I'm just going to just go out. Now from the gauge line, I'm going to come down a seam, because the under collar is actually finished one seam below, about 1/2 inch roughly. So that's where I'm going to have my undercollar, exactly to that. Okay. Now, where my shoulder point is here, there, I'm going to come one seam below that, because it's got to be finished. Because you remember, your collar's got to go around a finished shoulder seam. So I'm going to drop this one seam below, as if I've stitched up the shoulder seam. And that's it. Now, from my break point, I come out 5/8. It's a standard measurement, because your collar's got to, as soon as it goes up to shoulder, it's got to curve around the neckline. So this 5/8 of an inch is fine. What I'm going to do from here now, just carry on this layer, okay? So what I'm going to do, just bring this line up a little bit, it's fine. And now I need to measure my back, because I've established my break line, I've established my gorge line, and I've dropped this one seam below where my undercollar is actually going to sit. It's going to be finished hand stitched underneath. Now I've got to find my back, my centre back. So if I go to my centre back now, because I need to get the back measurement to get the full collar measurement. And don't forget, we're only working half the pattern, so we only need half the collar. There's my collar here. Now I see a lot of sewers and even some tailors, they do it wrong. When they're measuring around the curve, they do it flat. You should never do it flat. Have it stand it up on its edge and measure around. You get more of an accurate measurement. So on its edge, okay, from the centre back. Now remember, I've got to take off one seam when the back is going to be stitched to the front. So I'll take off 1 centimetre there. So from the centre back seam, I come round on its edge, remember, curving it around, and that says 3 3/4 inches there exactly. So just note that 3 3/4 inches, yeah? 3 3/4 inches. Now from my shoulder line, my seamed shoulder line, I'm going to come up 3 3/4 inches. So 3 3/4 inches, which is there. Okay, so I just provisionally will mark that. Now I need to put a bit of ease in my undercollar as it goes round. So I'm going to allow an extra 1/4 inch on top of that measurement. So I don't want the collar to be tight as it goes around the neck point. So it's going to have a slight fraction bit of ease. I'm going to about 1/4 inch to 3/8. So I'm going to just set this up 1/4 inch, and there we go. And there's my line. So there we have that. So now from this, I'm just going to bring this out now. Okay. So I bring this neck point. So there's my line, my centre back. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. There's my centre back. Okay. Now from my centre back, once I've established my centre back, I'll just bring this back down. You can't see that. So I've measured from the shoulder 3 3/4 inches, which was the centre back from the shoulder point, and then I just square out from there, provisional line squaring out from there, and then I'm adding on my 1/4 inch. So I've got to allow my 1/4 inch. So I need to put my 1/4 inch for the ease on top of that now. So I'm going to just that's fine. Now from that line now, I'm going to come back from that break line 5/8 of an inch. You do it on the centre back. Once you've established your centre back, 5/8 of an inch, okay? There we go. Now from that line now, I'm going to come back down to my shoulder line. And there we have that. Now we need to get the width of the, so afterwards I will show you that on the collar, so it'll make more sense. The collar stand, the actual collar stand itself. Now it can vary. I set my collar stand around about 1 1/4 inches. No, it can be 1 1/2 inches. It can be my female collar stand. It's very wide. The average collar stand for a man is 1 1/4 inches. So we're going to set this at 1 3/8 because I think 1 1/4 is a little bit narrow, and I'll show you after what I mean. So I'm going to do about 1 3/8. Okay, from this line, from the new line, 1 3/8. Okay. Now from this new line, before I do that, let me just bring this From this new line, because it's angled out, I've got to square that from that line, from that point. So I'm just going to just square that now, and this will be my new centre back seam line. Now, I'll just bring this out there for you now. Okay, cool. Now from that line, now I'm going to come out 1 3/8. So 1 3/8 will be there. 1 3/8. That's good. That's what I'm going to do. So there we have that. Okay, fine. Now, so from this line here, I'm going to do 2 inches. It's a standard thing because once we put the undercollar's got to be wider because we actually start to shape it actually on the coat itself. You'll see what I do afterwards. And I'll mark it on the coat and I'll trim it back. So we always have that wider. So I just have a standard 2 inches from that point there. And that should suffice. And from the shoulder, 2 inches. That's what I'm going to do, okay? Now, from this step here, I'll just come out about 1 inch. That gives it an extra, because that will be folded back on itself. You'll see when I'll show you the collar in a while. And that'll be fine. And then what I do now is, I'm just going to just, this can be, just going to just angle this a little bit there, here. And then what I'm going to do is, just this angle, it can be 2 inches. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. I can put this 2 inches, it's fine. And then from there, I'll just, see, I'm going to just draw this in now. There. There we have that. From here, remember our stand. This was 1 3/8. Now you could have done, because you've got to hide that seam there. So this could have come up 1 3/8 there, plus 1/4 inch 3/8, and it would have been nearly there. It's nearly not far off anyway. But we've got enough to play with anyway when we're going to shape it. Now from here, from this break line, I'm just going to just bring this line around here. And I'm just going to come up there, my line there. So you can actually bring this down. That can be just straight in there. And there's your basic template of your collar. Can you see that now? So I'm going to cut this out now, and I'm going to show you my couple of jackets I'm making, so you can understand a little bit more why we do this. There's a new undercollar, and I've actually put my client's name, Krishna, new undercollar. So you can see that now. I'll put it there, you can see. So that's what we call a gorge line, you see here. That's where it's finished, and there's our step where the collar is actually going to be stitched to. We never ever stitch it to the actual where the gorge line, we actually bring it down, we actually hand stitch it all. So it's actually dropped about nearly 1/2 inch, 1 centimetre. So you can see that now. That's where that's going to be. You see? So that's going to be finished to there. All right? And it's in line with that break line. And that's how it's going to finish. You can see that now. Perfect. That's how it's going to be. And then it will go to the back, centre back. And we always cut this on the bias. So I have a special Melton and canvas, collar canvas. We cut it on the bias so it stretches around. So you'll see what I do when we do that. Now if I just bring 1 second, I'm just going to show you a couple of jackets I'm making. So this is one, it's for female, beautiful tweed jacket, and I've got a matching tweed waistcoat to go with it. Now on the back you can see I've done this virtually 2 inches. This is my collar stand. You can see underneath there. So that's how it's going to be. I've got a lovely thing. So of course it's not finished yet. I'll have another fitting. So this is virtually 2 inches. I like it on a female. It's more becoming to have a wider collar stand. It's my designer preference as a designer. Now on a man's, you can see how narrow it's 1 1/4 actually. This is. So, and that's what it is. I've made mine 1 3/8. I made it a little bit wider. You know, I could have made it wider. It could be 1.5 inches. It's down to you. So that's what I do. And now, because I've made this wider here, the collar itself here. There, remember I was saying we put an extra inch because that's got to fold back on itself. Now on this one, I've done it a little bit different. You see, so it's actually inside. So I've done this. A lot of tailors will actually have it on the outside. I actually sandwich mine inside, you get a nicer finish. But anyway, majority of bespoke tailors, I'll do like this. Remember, I've left that extra inch there, can you see? Because that's what's going to fold back here, that extra there. So, and this is wider there, can you see? So when we put it on the coat, you'll see me measure exactly the width of the collar I need. So this is always wider. So I'm like a sculptor. I'm sculpturing away, taking things off, remolding it, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to shape this to exactly how I want it. So of course the undercollar will be a lot wider, and I'll trim it down, mark it, cut it the excess away. So that's what we do in the trade. So come back to here now, everyone. So I'm going to show you soon how to drape it as well. I'm going to drape a jacket as well. So you'll see two methods I use. I just want to explain a couple of things about the collar I was drafting for you. Remember this collar I drafted for you? Remember at the top I came over, this is the break line, remember? And I came over 5/8, and that will actually curve the collar round. Now, I want to give you a little demonstration here. I've just cut out a little sample of a little lapel and collar. Just put this up here. Just put this here 1 second. Okay, so I'm just kind of replicating what would actually happen. If I cut this, if this break line went straight up, it didn't curve like the collar, see? We've put a 5/8 of an inch there, that's where it's going to curve. If this break line went right up, and this went right up, and we didn't curve this. So we'll just do this now. So I've kind of made a little mock-up of how the lapel will be, how the jacket front will be with the lapel. So I've cut this break line all the way straight up. It hasn't curved. So you can see it looks really good here, hitting the neck there nicely, how it would on the jacket. Now if we just go to round, you'll see now, it's not square. Can you see that dips because it's straight? Can you see that there's a problem? So this is actually straight. This break line has gone straight up. I haven't curved anything. That's what would happen. So you need to curve this collar. So we need to kind of just curve it back up there. Can you see now? It's got to be straight. Just bring this around here and get this straight. You see this now? And that's got to be squared off there. Can you see? And now I've had to let this out. And this actually, I'm going to measure this now. Get my tape measure. How much I've kind of brought this out there. And this actually measures around just about 1/2 an inch. So that 5/8, this measures actually 1/2 an inch. So I've had to curve this around. You'll see it curves. I've had to let that out because it was totally straight. And you can see now it's perfect. It's good. So you've got to allow a little extra here as it goes. As it hits that neck, it's got to curve around, which is a few inches below the shoulder line. And that's got a curve. Can you see what? That's why. And that's why we have to curve as it from the shoulder point. I've actually done that, actually will curve around. And that's why we have to. I've allowed 5/8 of an inch. So it can be 1/2 an inch, 5/8 or whatever. And that's worked itself out for you. So you can never have a straight collar there. It's got to curve. And that's cut on the bias anyway, so it will curve naturally, it will go naturally, you can manipulate it better. And we always cut our undercollar on the bias for every jacket. So you can see this now on the jacket here that's been made, or just quickly show you this jacket over here for this lady I made. It curves, so as that break line is straight there, it starts to curve around because your neck's curved, and that's got to follow it. Just come back here, everyone. So hopefully now that's helped some of you with my little instructions to you, and I'll see you very soon on my next little outing, everyone. Stay well, be happy, ciao for now.